Sweet home Alabama, where the skies are so blue, is the home of tonight's second round of the Elite Eight here in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series playoffs. Hello and welcome to Racecraft TV, continuing coverage here from the Talladega Superspeedway and tonight's Butt Kicker 200. This should be an exciting race for all these drivers involved. As I mentioned, it was the second round of the Elite Eight here. Obviously, Ted Wade still with a huge championship lead so far, but still has some fierce competition from his Upfront Motorsports teammate Keith Bradley, and then also the 34 machine of Tyler Dittmer as well. Chris Cinnamon, last week's winner from Kansas, moved himself into the Elite Eight here and is looking to get up there with his Upfront Motorsports teammates and do what they can here from the high bank Talladega Superspeedway. Over 2.5 miles, 33 degrees of banking here, and it's gonna be a super speedway race in the playoffs, so the stakes are even that much higher. Obviously, if you're a driver like Ted Wade or something like that, you're not too worried about one of these things, but we've seen it before in the real life, and we'll see it here in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series as well. Talladega can make or break these drivers' race here. To go a little bit over your race analysis this evening, we will have a first stage ending at lap 20. A second stage will end at lap 40, and then we'll go all the way to 85 laps here to give us our 200-mile race distance this evening. So we'll take a look here at the starting grid as we take a look here. And I actually made a mistake. This is not the first round. I'm sorry, this is the first round of the round of 8. I said it was the second round. It's actually the first round here. So we'll get started at Talladega. And it's always a wild card here for any of these drivers, but also an opportunity as well for one of those drivers possibly farther down in the points. Drivers such as Peacock or Devin Payne or somebody like that. Maybe even one of the non-playoff drivers could sneak through here tonight and get a victory. Or going through your starting grid here on the bottom of the screen while we're getting our pace lap here, you see our 5-time winner Ted Wade, Jeffrey Sickles in the 9th place, Devin Painter in the 99. He'll roll off in the 10th position in his Chevrolet. Tyler Dittmer in the 34, a multiple-time race winner this season, will roll off in the 11th position. Michael McKinnon in the 13th will be 12th. Clint Mota in the 7th will be 13th, with Kyle Hess to his outside in the 86 machine making up the 14th position. Jose Luis Rivera in the 20 and Brady LaBeouf in the 9 will make up row number 8, or 15th and 16th position respectively. All these drivers didn't take qualifying time here. 17th Taylor Peacock, 18th Brandon Bullock, 19th position will be Dana Shepard, 20th Stephen Gregory there in the 61 Silverado. James Morris in the 47, Dane Hagen in the 39 will be 22nd. Derek Kilgore, Zach Hartwick making up row number 12. And then Raul Meza and Huck Wigington will make up your final row of drivers, with Cody Knott there being our 27th driver in our 27 truck here field from Talladega. The first round of the Elite Eight, not the second round, not that dire yet, but still want to make your move here if you possibly can. Our iRacing weather conditions here: partly cloudy with an air temperature of 84, a track temperature of 100, and a wind out of the east at 8 miles an hour. Really not going to make much of a difference for these drivers here. Grip shouldn't be too much of an issue, even with the relatively hot race surface here. So Christopher Blanchard, Adam Newbart will lead your field to the green flag. Stephen Thomas, Robert Richards, Justin Lumpkin, Chris Simon will make up your first 3 rows from the drivers that we missed there going through the starting grid. So who's gonna get it done here tonight from Talladega? Will it be one of the drivers that we've seen all night long, like a Ted Wade or one of those other Upfront Motorsports drivers? They're going to drive to the back early here and try to save for the rest of this race. And remember, the start finish line at Talladega, it's all the way down towards the front stretch. You're just seeing the Geico restart zone here coming into play. Field in control of Christopher Blanchard. And the green flag's out here. We're racing from Talladega in the first round of the Elite Eight on the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, the Butt Kicker 200. And Christopher Blanchard will come back through the trial here with a slight challenge there from Stephen Thomas on the outside. He'll actually rush forward and then jive down low to drop down into that bottom lane, and he'll lead lap 1 here from Talladega of 85 for our total race distance. Lap 1 of 20 here for your first stage. First 3 cars here, a single file, and it's about side by side for back till about the 20th position here. These drivers early in this race will, and as you start to see some drivers dip down below the yellow line, they'll probably move back towards the back of the pack here, especially early in this race. You're going to see a lot of drivers do that. You see the 22 machine there making a move to the back very quickly. That's Jeffrey Sickles there. He's dropping all the way back to the field here. And as you're watching your Racecraft TV timing tower there on the left-hand side, all of your drivers that are in gold are your playoff drivers. Remember, there's 8 of them left here. So every single driver that you see right now in the playoffs is within the top 15 right now. Only 2 laps into this race, but all the drivers that are trying to make a push for this championship doing a good job so far. The outside line here has a little bit of a help here from Evan Painter there on the outside line. That's the 48 machine of Robert Richards there, who is leading this outside line right now, trying to get formed up. Only has about 5 trucks with him so far. The bottom line definitely more established, but seeing what they can do here as they go side by side down the backstretch for lap number 3. Continue to race side by side. We're about 8 rows deep here as we come back for lap number 4 here from Talladega, the NASRA Triple M Polling Truck Series. Stephen Thomas still your leader. Newbert, Blanchard, Richards, Painter, your top 5 right now. But of course, this Talladega super style of racing, those positions are going to be changing constantly throughout the pace of this race. And it's not surprising to see one of these drivers possibly leading this race and then finding themselves as far back as 15th, 16th position, just depending how the draft goes. And that's so important heading into this race here. You know, the Upfront Motorsports teammates at some point are going to get together here on the super speedway. They always do such a great job at it. You remember back to the beginning of race of the year with Chris Cinnamon, the push from Ted Way that he got to win at Daytona to open the season here. Looking to repeat that in the first round of the first race here of the round of the Elite 8. Now, if any of these drivers in the playoffs win this evening, that automatically punches their ticket into the Championship 4 race. Remember, the Championship 4 race will be December 16th at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Excuse me, not Texas, Las Vegas Motor Speedway. So these drivers still have Talladega this evening and then Bristol Motor Speedway before they go to Las Vegas and battle for the championship. But if you're one of these playoff drivers right now, 5 laps into this race, you want to get up front and you want to try to lead as many laps as you can. I don't think you want to sit towards the back of the pack. You set yourself up there for the inevitable big one, I think, if that happens here. So if you're a driver like Stephen Thomas finding yourself battling for one of those Championship 4 spots, I think you're doing about the best you could possibly do right now by leading this race as they come off of turn 4. Thomas will again lead for lap number 6 here. That top lane still trying to form, but just really hasn't had the cohesion and the amount of trucks, I think, right now to try to form a run here on the bottom line. You see that anytime they go into the corner of the bottom line, it's just able to do a much better job of staying packed together here. And that's the difference on the racetrack right now. It's Thomas and the push from Newbert there, even going back all the way to Blanchard, your pole sitter for tonight's race. They're doing a great job here of staying together, these 3 trucks up at the front of the race, and continuing to push each other, make that aerodynamic load on each of the cars just a little bit easier. That's all you can do here. None of these drivers are going to be able to put much distance between them and the driver between them. So you just got to be calm, especially this early in the race. Find a position here that works for you. Maybe find a drafting partner and see where things happen to shake out when you're on lap 84 of this race here, looking at it for the checkered flag. Right now, looking at your timing tower, taking a check-in early here on the NASRA 360 Hard Charger Award. Looks like Devin Painter in the 99 up 7 positions since the start of this race. He's who you're looking at right now as your big mover. A couple other drivers have moved up 6 positions. Devin Painter now at 6 positions. Michael McKinnon, Kyle Hess. So those 3 drivers are tied for your NASRA 360 Hard Charger Award right now, obviously. Your Pulse Popper Award winner went to Christopher Blanchard there in the 19. Still finds himself, we'll call it 5th position now in the timing tower, but really 3rd position on that bottom line. And you almost split these 2 lines into 2 separate races here until it comes down to the final lap of either the stage or the race itself. Richards again on the high side, trying to get enough trucks up there to make it work, and he's able to keep pace with about 2nd or 3rd position a majority of the time. And you see a little bit of the run here. They get down the front straightaway here, this tri-oval section of Daytona, coming back towards the start-finish line, and it is kind of fascinating. You get enough of these trucks in a line, it almost starts to move like one giant truck. And the game Snake comes to mind on the Nokia phone. It kind of reminds me on this. You're trying to get as many trucks as you possibly can to stick in your line so you can try to make your way all the way up to the front of this race here early in our tonight's proceedings. Only going to be 10 laps into stage number 1 when they come back to the stripe this time. Remember, our stage 1 break is going to be at lap number 20. And so those stage points, playoff points, also going to be vitally important to all these drivers. You look at these drivers that are just outside the top 10 now. You saw Ted Wade there in the 2, just moved into the top 10. But LaBeouf, Peacock, and Dittmer, they're still on the outside looking in right now for stage points. And especially with the stakes as high as they are here at Talladega and then next week at Daytona, you can't afford to be in a position where you're losing stage points as well as just finishing position as well. You know, if you're one of those drivers, you can always come back and win the race. But you definitely want to play and get as many points as you can, put those points in the bank. It makes your job easier going forward here as we're starting to now get 3 wide. There's a 3rd line forming up towards the top of the racetrack, about middle pack. It's Kyle Hess with a little bit of help from Brady LaBeouf. They might have been falling to the back of the pack. Now that I look at it here, they seem to be kind of sliding back here, maybe file in here at the back of this line as well. It looks like possibly that LaBeouf is trying to get linked up with his teammate there in the 81. That's Taylor Peacock, who also won a race here at Daytona earlier this season. It was our non-points paying Clash event. But still, Taylor Peacock does have 1 win under his belt in the 2022 season. So look for him to be a driver to move his way up through the pack. Not a playoff driver, but, or I'm sorry, still is a playoff driver. I take that back. Excuse me. But one of these drivers to watch out for, especially the super speedway, to break through and maybe sneak his way into the championship for. Thomas through 3 and 4 continues to get the push from Newbert. Now you look to the outside. Christopher Blanchard to the 19 now moves up ahead of Richards there. He's going to take the position away on the outside line. Curious to see if he can do anything now to lead that charge on the outside of the racetrack to make any kind of position here on Stephen Thomas. And it looks like, at least coming down the tri-oval here, there's a little bit of an advantage. He's really giving it all he can here on the outside line, and is doing a much better job. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there's some damage there on the machine of Richards, but just doing a much better job of leading that line. Also, you can just see how many trucks now are really committing to that top line. Pretty much almost equal spacing here between these 2 drivers, as maybe a 3rd line trying to poke out here with Robert Richards. I'm not entirely quite sure. That would not be wise to do here. I know we're coming to the end of the stage, but you know, if you're a driver that's not in the playoffs right now, those stage points don't really matter to you, and you really don't want to mess one of these playoff drivers drive up as we coming to 13 laps to go here. I'm sorry, 13 laps into the race, and that'll be 7 laps to go in the stage before the end of stage 1, which will be at lap number 20. Again, coming off of turn 2, Thomas will lead the pack down the backstretch, has led every single lap of this race so far, getting a great push here from Adam Newbert. But Newbert kind of dips down below the yellow line there a little bit. You can't do that and advance your position, obviously, but you can still kind of stick your nose out there. If your truck's overheating a little bit, you'll get some clean air that way. And then that allows you to keep your engine temperatures nice and within an operating range, but also still allow you to have that airflow to the engine, which is so crucial. And that can happen in these trucks. You can get stuck behind another truck for 10, 15 laps in a row, and all of a sudden you look down and your truck's overheating. So something you definitely have to manage here in this pack racing, especially if you're one of the trailing cars, not much air getting to the nose. Thomas will come to the stripe here in lap number 15, and he'll lead this lap here as well. Just doing a great job from Adam Newbert getting the push here, and that's really what he needs so far. You look back in the 4th position, that's your second playoff driver here in this lead little pack. That's Justin Lumpkin in the 87. I heard there was rumors of a driver change there to the 87 in Lumpkin, so actually might have a replacement driver in here for this evening for Lumpkin. I was seeing some discussion there. I'm not entirely sure what's going on with them as well, but he's another one of those drivers that is up there. Chris Cinnamon in the 3 machine finds himself in 7th place right now. Keith Bradley in 9th, Taylor Peacock in 11th, Brady LaBeouf in 12th. Ted Wade all the way back in 14th right now. Even though you see the upfront motorsports drivers kind of drop behind early, that's kind of interesting to see. But you do kind of notice here this lead pack and the rest of the drivers on the racetrack, they kind of separate themselves just a little bit. It's side by side here for about the first 6 or 7 rows, and then you can kind of see it strings out after that. So we'll see what anybody can do here coming to the end of stage 1, if anybody's able to make a move off of Thomas here as they come racing down the backstretch. It's going to be 3 laps to go when they come back to the stripe. This time, Stephen Thomas still holding on to the slightest of advantages over Christopher Blanchard on the outside. I think Blanchard wants to make the move for the points here. I don't think really for Stephen Thomas's sake, I think Blanchard's trying to help out his teammates, so he's going to try to win this stage, take those first points away from Stephen Thomas. Even if he was able to, I would assume that Thomas probably finishes more than likely 2nd, if not 3rd or 4th. So still a good run here in the first stage. And now that we kind of mentioned it, only 4 drivers now within the top 10 in standings here at Talladega. So only 5 drivers will get playoff points as it stands right now that are also in the playoffs. So very, very important here for LaBeouf, Wade, Dittmer to try to move their way up to the front if they can here, at least to get some spots. If not, I feel like you're kind of committing to the win now line early. And while that is a strategy, I'm not so sure here, given how restrictor plate racing has gone in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series up to this point. I don't think that you're going to get a huge amount of wrecks. They're usually pretty good at green flag racing. So not something you want to put yourself in an early time advantage for. Devin Painter now starting to form the outside line here. They'll go 3 wide. He's going to go all the way to the top of the racetrack. Now, big block by 2 trucks there by the 48. And then it looks like another truck trying to slide in there as well. That's going to be the 13. That's McKinnon here. He really went up and moved Painter all the way up. Now, Painter, you see almost getting into the wall there coming off of turn number 2. This stalled all the momentum of that top line. I really think if you're Devin Painter, that was your time to go and make your way up towards the front. You kind of delayed a little bit, trying to get some more help with you, and now falls himself back towards the back of the second line here on the outside of the racetrack. as they head down the Alabama gang super stretch here. They come to the flag. It'll be one lap to go here in stage number 1. Your new leader of this race, Chris Simon, finds himself to the front with a push from that outside, and now will slide down in front of Lumpkin there. You can see the 87 machine trying to do what he can here to move to the outside of Cinnamon. You see Lumpkin as well, also trying to shut off that bottom lane, so Blanchard there in the 19 can't quite get to him. This is going to be the last lap of the stage coming up here. So Cinnamon with Blanchard, Lumpkin, Wade, and Thomas, your top 5. Thomas now falls to 6th position. Peacock is in 9th and LaBeouf is in 12th. That's an update of your playoff drivers as they run right now. Remember, they're highlighted in yellow on your timing and scoring screen to the left here. But now a side-by-side battle as they come down the backstretch. Cinnamon, Wade, Blanchard, Lumpkin, everybody is all in this right now. And they're trying to just do all they can to get that little extra push, that little extra bump that's going to put either them as a driver or the driver that they're helping over the line here coming to the end of the stage. But I think Chris Cinnamon may have timed that move to ultimate perfection as they come off of turn 4 here. Remember, they still have the long straightaway, so I do think Blanchard still has a run on the outside line here in a shot. But I think it's going to be a little bit too little too late as Chris Cinnamon will come in. He won your race last week in Kansas. He'll win stage 1 here from Talladega. And as the caution flag flies here from Talladega, we're going to take a quick step away here on Racecraft TV. We'll be back in a few minutes, get a little bit of a recap on who went to pit road, who did it, and then we'll have more racing action from here from Talladega. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few seconds.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Coverage of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series and the Butt Kicker 200 is brought to you by Butt Kicker. Butt Kicker, the leader in haptic simulation for iRacing drivers. You can go to buttkicker.com to check out all they have today. The NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series is also brought to you by Starbase Comics, Pulse Poppers, and NASRA 360. So be sure to check all of them out. You see the race off of pit road right here. A few drivers actually did pit before the stage ended, so they will now find themselves up towards the front of the field right now. I believe the drivers that pitted before were Rivera, Dittmer, and Shepard. Ted Wade actually was the only driver that stayed out. So he will inherit the race lead. So no surprises there that the 2 truck is in the lead of the race. As far as everything else goes, I think just standard pit stops for everybody. I don't think this is really a situation where you have to take tires. Tire wear really isn't that big a deal here at Talladega, but definitely filling that thing full of Sunoco race fuel is going to be important especially coming to that final stop. If it happens under green flag racing, we've seen it be such a catalyst and such a wrench here into the decisions that are made on the racetrack. And we'll see if that does anything more here this evening. We go back to green flag racing. It'll probably be around, I would say, lap 24 or 25. And our stage 2 break will be at lap 40 with a final race distance of 85 laps or 200 miles here tonight. So Ted Wade leads the field. That's something that we're used to saying here up here in the Racecraft TV booth. Tyler Dittmer is the first driver in the playoffs. He's in 3rd position right now. Justin Lumpkin, Stephen Thomas, Chris Cinnamon, Taylor Peacock, Brady LaBeouf, and Keith Bradley from there. Bradley in your 13th position right now. Let's take a look down the field here. Nobody in this race has retired yet, so each car is still on the racetrack that started the race, and each car also on the lead lap so far through the first 23 laps of racing action here from the virtual Talladega Super Speedway. If you enjoy what you're watching here on Racecraft TV and you're looking forward to more simulator action here on Racecraft TV, you can always check out the Racecraft Outlaws series as well. Features some of the best dirt oval racing drivers in the world competing for iRacing, Racecraft TV's own Sprint Car Championship. You can check them out. And also we got the Vors Virtual Off-Road Racing Series as well. If you're a fan of the Pro 4 trucks, the jumpy trucks as they're loved to be referred to here on the iRacing service, you can also check that out as well. And if you're interested with getting your league broadcasted here on Racecraft TV, you can go ahead and just leave us a message there on the Facebook page. Find us on Discord or on Instagram, Twitter, or just leave us a message here on YouTube as well. We'd be happy to see what we can do as far as covering your race. And speaking of racing here, going back to the race at hand right now, we're going to be back to green flag racing, lap 25. The lights are off on the pace truck right now, as you see. Ted Wade will lead the field back here to the green flag, and I think that's a smart move by the two of Ted Wade, but kind of interesting. Usually you see those upfront motorsports teammates duck out as quick as you possibly can, slide all the way to the back of the track really early in these restrictor plate super speedway type events. But so far Ted Wade stays out, takes the gamble on not coming to pit road, finds himself in the lead, but for how long is really going to be a question with the rest of the 27 car field behind him. We'll see what Ted Wade's able to do here this evening on the restart. Pace truck peels off, leaving the field in control of the two of Ted Wade and the Chevy Silverado. Jose Luis Rivera in the Race Labs truck, the black and red and white truck, the 20 there, will be to his outside on this restart. A lot of fun here at Talladega. You can wait all the way up to that restart zone, obviously. Then you can go anytime after that. And that's what Ted Wade chooses to do so right now. We're back to green flag racing here from the virtual Talladega. As they battle side by side down the backstretch. Now there's a move to the outside here by Dittmer. He'll take the push for Rivera, who was leading at the start of the stage, and now tries to make the move on Ted Wade on the outside. And I think Dittmer knows that if he wants to get up and lead this race, contend for the win, he's gonna have to get past Ted Wade. So right now you can see him trying to lead, be the Pied Piper on that outside line, have people come over to that line and try to take him away from Ted Wade and see if there's any momentum that 34 machine can build. You see in the straightaways, he does get it, but once they go back into the corners again, as Rusty Wallace used to say, the fastest way around is the shortest way around, and that's what you're finding right now with the bottom line, able to just keep a few tenths of a second advantage, make it 8 tenths of a second advantage right now over Ted Wade. Oh, and there it is. Ted Wade has dived to the back of the field. I kind of expected that to happen. We've seen it happen a lot here at super speedway tracks, and that whole up front motorsport squad just happens to get to the front every single time. It's uncanny. Coming off at turn 2, side-by-side racing action almost through the entire field. You saw one car there with connection issues blink out for a second. You thought that was terrifying at your local road race, or maybe even a club track day here on iRacing. When something like that happens at 185 miles an hour, even though it's simulated, it does freak you out just a little bit. But a driver that isn't freaked out by these circumstances right now, Tyler Dittmer, now finds himself in the lead. And that's your third different leader here tonight from the virtual Talladega. We go on board right now to see what this battle looks like from one of the drivers. You can see this is Stephen Thomas's machine right there, the 45 of Dana Shepard. And then directly in front of him is going to be the 20 of Jose Luis Rivera. And all these drivers that we're kind of taking a look at right now, drivers that have been good enough to win, that's for sure, just hasn't completely fallen their way yet. Ooh, a little bit of a slide up the racetrack there. Able to hang on to it. Will move the 48 up a little bit, though, but didn't seem to have too much of an effect on him. That was the 81 there of Taylor Peacock that had a little bit of a wiggle there in 3 and 4. As they come through the tri-oval, you see a little bit of a wiggle there again. So maybe these drivers have decided, hey, I'm not going to take tires right now. Possibly having a little bit of issues. Also, mainly just navigating the draft a little bit, as you see there for Peacock. Right now, you lie right on board with the 34 of Tyler Dittmer, looking back towards the 19 of Blanchard there, and you can just see how mentally and physically exhausting that restrictor plate super speedway racing is. Mainly more the mental aspect, just because you have to be on your game at every single point in time around this racetrack. Not only if you happen to end up in victory lane, or if you want to happen to end up in victory lane, but even if you want to drive in the first place. Nobody's going to go and pay for you to tear up a car there every single weekend. So a lot of cautious driving for our drivers so far in this one, but I think things will get hairy once we get towards the second half of this race, especially 20 to 25 laps ago. That's where you'll start seeing the aggressive moves. That's where you'll start drivers to see them go 2-3 wide for position. And I think that's really where this race will open up. Right now, everybody's just kind of saving. Like take this time after the pit stops to take a look at your NASRA 360 Hard Charger Award. Right now, that would go to Dana Shepard in the 45. And so far, he's up 14 positions from where he started this race. Jose Luis Rivera up 12 positions. Taylor Peacock up 9. So all those drivers doing an excellent job here of moving their way up the field. I will say probably a little bit easier to do here at Talladega than maybe another track, but also very hard to move around here. You can see how these cars take up so much of this racetrack. Not a lot of lateral movement for these drivers, so And those brakes aren't the most high quality, high tech things as well. Sometimes when the wreck happens in front of you, especially here at Talladega, there's absolutely nowhere to go in these trucks. And to all of you watching along at home, and in case you're wondering if you're just now turning into our coverage here of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, my name is Ian Fisher, working solo here in the booth tonight, so you might get some more natural sounds of racing action here than you're normally used to. We'll call it a Racecraft Crank It Up, I guess we can call it that, although I don't know if Fox is going to sue us for that. So single action in the booth here tonight, and right now one driver is all alone at the front of this pack. Everything else behind that is side by side. That's Tyler Dittmer right now. Jose Luis Rivera now leading that outside line is going to try to make another move here. Another one of those drivers that may not be in the discussion for the playoffs, but still up here mixing it up in the conversation for the win. Blanchard comes to mind as well. Even Shepard in the 45, Newbert in the 4 has been a good pusher all night long. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the broadcast, but this is really the time to make your alliances, make your friends out on the racetrack, and hope they're there for you when it gets time to race at the end of this race. So going to be side by side for a good majority of this, I think. Drivers just feeling each other out. The last 10 laps, that's when you see the gloves come off. As we come to lap 35 of this time here when they cross the stripe, coming off the backstretch here, going through 3 and 4. Coming to the stripe, lap 35 out of 40 for our second stage. Of course, our full race distance at the top of your screen there is going to be 85 laps here tonight for the virtual Talladega Interspeedway with the Butt Kicker 200. Take a look at your drivers that are still in contention here in the playoffs. All the gold drivers on your timing and scoring tower there on the left-hand side of the screen. Dittmer, Lumpkin, Thomas, Peacock, LaBeouf, and Bradley. Those 6 drivers right now inside the top 10. You got 2 drivers towards the back of the pack, Nick Wade and Chris Cinnamon. But I think we're starting to see the formation of the Upfront Motorsports hangback. And we've seen it happen so many times here this season, is they'll hang back early in the beginning of the race. They won't tear up their equipment. They'll stay out of the wrecks. And then at the end of the race, all of a sudden they come out of nowhere to win it. So we'll see if that happens here again tonight, or if we can have a new winner here from the virtual Talladega Superspeedway. A little farther back there, you see the 29 truck try to make it 3 wide there for a second. He'll file in behind the 45 of Shepard. That's going to push Newbert in the 4 all the way to the high side of the racetrack. He's looking for some dancing partners right now. I don't know if that was a move out here with about 4 laps, make it 3 laps to go in the stage when they come to the stripe to try to make a move towards the front, or what happened, but I kind of saw it there out of the corner of my eyes. And now the 29 is being even more aggressive. They shoot all the way to the high side. They'll now lead that line in front of Shepard. I don't know if they have enough trucks up there right now, though, to commit to the rest of that line. Now on that outside line, LaBeouf is going to try to lead it there for himself as they come down the Alabama Gang super stretch. He does have a little bit more help this time. I will say the line's about equidistant, 5 to 4 cars each now, as you see Painter and a few others try to make the move to the outside, try to see what they can do to improve their racing position before coming to the green and white checkered flag here. A big block by Dittmer. He'll move all the way up. Now kind of finds himself in no man's land here in the middle, 3 wide as they go through the tri-oval. And this is all racing for the end of stage number 2, a very important thing to have, especially if you're looking for stage points. And I believe that's why you're seeing the 23 of Thomas being so aggressive, or I'm sorry, the 29 being so aggressive right now, is because he needs all those points that he can possibly get. And right now he didn't get any playoff points, so he needs to go out and try to get himself into the top 10, get some of those playoff points. If you can't win it, that's the best thing you can really do right now. Field will exit turn number 4 with Blanchard now leading here slightly over Lumpkin, and that 34 line there of Dittmer in the middle has really kind of evaporated. It was like a 3 wide battle here for the lead about 5 or 6 minutes ago. Now it's sort of trying to get back to where it was. Now it will definitely go 3 wide. Even and there's trouble in the background. Keith Bradley is involved. One playoff driver at least involved. One driver is also up and over. It looks like that's the 99 of Painter. We'll see who's involved in this one as well. That's going to be your first caution for incident, and comes out here on the final lap of our stage. You saw Keith Bradley there, how aggressive he was for positions, and that's going to bite him, unfortunately, there. 99 of Devin Painter also involved. Few playoff drivers were involved in that one, though. We'll take a look and see what happened here, possibly, and I'm trying to see, as far as from timing and scoring goes, any drivers diving to pit road right now to see who else may possibly have damage. We could see this brewing for a little while before it actually happened. Everybody was getting pretty racy there, coming to the green and white checkered flags to end the stage, and just unfortunate there. Really, one driver got kind of hung out to dry, tried to put themselves back in line, and they weren't quite there yet. We'll get a look at what happened here. It starts to develop around that high side, around the 29 here, and you see the 48 right there, so close to being in line, right in line there, and it would have been no problem. But just the slightest tap to the bumper sends him into the wall there. Definitely hurt Painter. He took probably the biggest brunt of it as well. Bradley here gets just, drove in front of here. Hopefully there's no radiation damage as well. LaBeouf in the 9 takes some damage as well, and possibly a little bit there, trying to escape the wreck after Painter comes slipping back down the racetrack. Get another angle for it here. Not sure who the car there at the bottom was that was involved as well. I believe that could have possibly be the 11 of Derek Kilgore, but I'm not entirely sure. So that'll bring out your caution on lap number 40, which we already were going to bring out a caution, actually. So now these drivers will come to pit road. This will definitely be a fuel stop for all these drivers, but interested to see if any of them will take tires here as we go into our final stage. And it does look like the jacks are going up on some cars here. I'm interested to see if people are just taking 2 or if they're taking 4. Looks to be like a 2-tire stop for most of these drivers. It looks like one driver there hit the wall getting into their pit box. Possibly a little bit of a damage there. You really got to be careful on pit road and pit exit. You're still out there racing, and what will cost you on pit road will cost you tenfold out on the racetrack there. And so as we're waiting to go back to green flag racing here, we're going to step aside for a little bit on NASRA TV, or I'm sorry, Racecraft TV's coverage of the NASRA Triple M Polling Truck Series. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a few seconds. We'll be back here for the virtual Talladega Super Speedway.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing. This is the world's premier online racing simulation. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat from your home computer with the most realistic online motorsports experience you'll find anywhere. Race virtually in the world's biggest events with officially licensed series, cars, and tracks. From the high banks of Daytona to the blistering speeds of Indianapolis, the dirt of Eldora to the world's most legendary road courses. It's all here, and with more than 180,000 people just like you already driving, you'll always have someone to race. Ready to get behind the wheel? Sign up at iRacing.com to get started.
Racecraft TV's continuing coverage of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series and the Butt Kicker 200 is brought to you by Butt Kicker. Go and check them out at buttkicker.com, and they're your sim racing's leading haptic controller for your sim racing needs. So go check them out if you want to take your sim racing experience to the next level. Also check out, while you're at it, NASRA 360, Starbase Comics, and Pulse Poppers, all the sponsors here of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. So a lot of takers to pit road that time around. Looks like a lot of 4-tire stops too. I don't think any drivers out here took 2 tires. So a few unfamiliar names here at the front of the field. We've Clint Moda in the 7 there up at the front. Blanchard here as well. Some of your playoff drivers are actually spread a little bit throughout the field here. And you see Bradley still on the racetrack right now, finds himself in the 23rd position. So not what he was looking for here as far as starting his round of 8, but still some time to still come back and win at Bristol next week and try to do all you can here to salvage a good finish if you're the 29 cam. And once again, just give you a quick reminder before we go back to Green Flag Racing here from the virtual Talladega. It's a solo booth of myself, Ian Fisher, tonight, with Zach Johnson running the cameras here on Racecraft TV. Joshua Lee is out taking care of some real world obligations, getting things done, running shows. So wherever he is, apparently in a sushi restaurant right now, hopefully he's having a good time. And we're glad you're here with us on Racecraft TV for coverage here of the Butt Kicker 200. The pace car will dive to the safety of pit road, leaving the field in control here of Christopher Blanchard, and they'll make a slow, long march all the way down towards the start finish line, towards the tail end of this front stretch here. So it's gonna be 42 laps to go to finish this race here from the virtual Talladega Super Speedway. We're back to Green Flag Racing. Christopher Blanchard will lead the field down in the turn 1. We side by side coming off of turn 4 here. Moda looked like there was going to stay to the inside, and Peacock tried to follow him there for just a second, but I think Moda's indecision kind of stacked the bottom line there a little bit. Now Peacock will be able to move in front of him there and take away that first position away from Moda. He does have a challenge here from Michael McKinnon on the outside with a push from Jose Luis Rivera. Farther back from there, Kyle Hess, Christopher Blanchard, Chris Simmons, Ted Wade, Stephen Thomas. Those are all your drivers right now that are inside your top 10. Thomas and then Hagan now as well. Only 4 drivers here in our in our at least 8 round of the playoffs inside the top 10. Peacock right now, your leader outside of the playoff drivers. And now Ted Wade there to pit road. Not exactly sure what the 2 camp was doing there. Maybe trying to pit early here for this final green flag stop. But I really don't know about that strategy because you're going to lose the draft. But we do have the 2 machine here on pit road. We'll see if they find their way out on the racetrack or if that's going to be a retirement. That makes things interesting, I will say. For the rest of the field, Jose Luis Rivera will take over the lead of this race for now. Going to be 39 laps to go when he gets back to the stripe, but he does have a challenge here from the outside from Kyle Hess in that 86 Coca-Cola truck, getting a huge push here from Chris Cinnamon. And interesting to notice so far, Ted Wade on pit road, Chris Cinnamon up towards the front of this pack, but he doesn't have his normal upfront motorsports teammates. You saw the 29 of Bradley there. He's riding around in about the 15th, 16th position, make it 13th now, but still, he had the damage from that earlier incident. I don't think he's going to be as effective as Chris Cinnamon needs him to be up towards the front of the pack right now. So Chris Cinnamon looking for help for anyone he can get it for right now. Seems to have found it with the 86 of Kyle Hess. And actually, some apologies to Kyle Hess there. I thought that was a Coca-Cola truck. It's actually a NASRA 360 truck. So shout out NASRA 360, also a sponsor of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series coverage we have here on Racecraft TV. So doing a good job getting his machine up to the front of the pack, get some good camera time for the sponsors. You know they always appreciate that. Going to be 37 laps to go. We come back to the stripe. Still probably 1 green flag stop for these drivers left. Looking at our race analysis here and some of the notes that we have for the race, it looks like right now the fuel capacity is 100% here. That makes sense at Talladega. They did have 3 sets of tires that you could use if you so wished here in the race, but I think we still have 1 more pit stop here for our drivers. Probably going to be under green flag conditions knowing how this race has gone so far. The only other yellow flag we got was the stage break flag, and then obviously the incident that involved a few playoff drivers, Bradley and Richards as well. But that was actually, coincidentally enough, on lap number 40 when our stage break was scheduled to happen. So that just kind of happened naturally. Now 37 laps to go. These drivers are going to be looking for teammates to pit with, especially under green flag pit stops here on super speedways. You want to get in and out of pit road as a group, and the reason being for that is that way you never lose the draft and you don't become a sitting duck for the rest of the field. So who will be the group of cars to go first is always the question here at Talladega. That lap car you see there to the high side is Ted Wade, so doing his best to just avoid traffic here. Almost curious if that's a strategy play there by the 2 squad, as though we'll fall now 1 lap down. If that's strategy by the 2 squad to maybe get themselves the lucky dog position and then just hope everybody will pit through at some point, but that's risky. I mean, you put yourself a lap down and the thing goes green the rest of the way. The gamble call kind of hurts you a lot there. Looks like we do have one retirement from this race. Robert Richards, who was involved in that earlier incident with Bradley and a few other drivers as well, looks like they pulled that car back behind the garage. So that's the end of their night tonight. Devin Painter was caught up in that race as well. He's also done for the evening here from Talladega. So 2 cars already a victim here of Talladega, and then 1 car on pit road. That's the 11 of Derek Pilgore right now. The rest of the 23 trucks on the lead lap. So really anybody's race here, still to win from Talladega. These things don't really become serious, and it's about 10 laps to go here, and then it's all cards on the table, and we'll see who's able to come away at the end of the night in victory lane. .33 laps to go here from Talladega. You start to see a push on the outside line here. That's a run there from the 13 car or 13 truck of Michael McKinnon. He's getting a push here from the 33 on your screen, but I think that's the 39 of Dane Hagen, or I apologize, that actually is the 39. Just an interesting font there for the 9. So the second lane, we've seen that all night long so far, has been trying to get that advantage going, just hasn't been able to get enough momentum built up there. You can see the run they get here down the front stretch again as they come across the start finish line. It'll be 32 laps to go now, but they aren't able to just link up and get that many trucks together to really get an advantage. And you see they're kind of spread out as well. They aren't tucked up together like this bottom 4 is here on the racetrack, and that's really been the difference all night long. I really think the bottom lane has been the lane that you want to be on if you're in one of these drivers. And it was something interesting to look at so far as well. Oh, the only one of our drivers that is in the top 5 right now that's in the playoffs is Chris Cinnamon. LaBeouf is just outside of that in the 6th position right now. Cinnamon now up to 2nd position here, right behind Hess. When is he going to make his move? Already has the win here at Daytona. You know he thinks that this is a very excellent time for him to make a move into the next round as well, really secure his Final 4 aspirations. And what a story it would be for Chris Cinnamon. Wins the first race of the season to get himself into the playoffs, so he doesn't have to worry about it for the rest of the year. So that was fun. Then he gets into the playoffs, waits till the very last round of 16 race, wins that one at Kansas to put himself into the round of 8 here. Now finds himself in the 3rd position, but right on the back bumper of these leaders with a chance to win and advance himself into the championship for really, it would just be the clutch would be the way to describe Cliff Cinnamon's season so far. And looking to do more of that now as you see the 13 drop down. He'll take control of that bottom line and really able to make it work to his advantage that time now. But there's going to be a big run here from Hagen on the outside with LaBeouf giving him the push. And look who's behind him now. It's Keith Bradley after that earlier incident, able to get himself now up into 3rd position in this outside line. He's not done yet for the night either. 30 laps to go here from the virtual Talladega, and these drivers are still not wanting to make a move too early. And really, there is no reason to make a move this early, even if you find yourself in the lead of this race. That's probably the worst place to be at Talladega, coming to the white flag. We've seen so many passes here on the final lap for the win here at super speedway races. It's just the style of racing, the pack style of racing. You can't make many lateral moves. You see this field here just stuck together. They can't really get anywhere away from each other. You'll start to see those moves happen around 15, maybe even 10 laps to go here. But right now, for the next couple of laps, you're just going to see these drivers trying to maintain composure, stay calm, not show their hand too early, maybe try to silently work yourself into a position where you're near a teammate. But that's all you can really do right now. You're not going to win this race with 29 laps to go. A little bit of shuffling there about mid-pack as they head down the backstretch. Now a move to the outside by Hagen. He actually is right now the driver that would be the recipient of your NASRA 360 Hard Charger Award. Right now he's being a little bit too aggressive, though. Keeps trying to step out to the outside there of Hess, and you see Hess will move up to try to block, and I don't think that's an aggressive race block. I think that's more of a kind of a courtesy there to Hagen to say that, hey, now's not the time to be trying to make it 3 wide. We need to work together here if we're going to get up to the front. And Hagen continues to try to push towards the outside here on that outside line. The second truck, the black and green 39 machine. He really does want the lead of this race so far. I don't think it's the time to do it, though. Take this onboard shot here from Taylor Peacock, and you just see how mentally exhausting this pack racing is here. You know, you might be able to hang out at home and crack open a beer, lay back in bed, and enjoy a race with your 2 dogs, but these drivers can't do that. They really have to be mentally and physically sharp here for the rest of this race, and it's tiring here going at 180 miles an hour and trying to stay inches off of the truck in front of you, try to guess and gauge where those runs are going to go. You already see some damage there looking back at Keith Bradley's truck, managing those things as well. I mean, all these factors that go into a race like this at Talladega that you have to consider here as we have 25 laps to go as we get back to the stripe this time. This is where we're probably going to start to see the pit stops. And if we don't see the pit stops, this is where we're going to start seeing the moves start to happen if these drivers have enough fuel to make it to the end of this race, which I do not believe they do at the current time. But we'll see what happens here. 25 laps to go here when they come to the stripe, and almost on cue, here we go. We have the first round of takers there onto pit road. It looks like Peacock will lead this initial group onto pit road, so he is going to be the first of your playoff drivers to come down pit road. Stephen Thomas as well will join him, and it looks like back towards the end of the pack there, it looks like maybe Cody, not Richards. I think Wigington went to pit road as well. So that starts our pit road cycle off here with 25 laps to go. You see the first group go. Now the mind games start. When do you go? When do you try to make your move here to pit road? I think if you're Cinnamon, you got to make your move within 1 to 2 laps here. You don't want to give enough time for that pack to get momentum and start catching back up to you again. I think you make the dive to pit road here now, get that service done, as we see Jose Luis Rivera is going to go, and nobody else went with them. So Rivera is going to have a hard time getting back up to speed here when he comes back onto pit road. You see Peacock now leaving the pit lane right now. They'll rejoin the track on the backstretch, and your leaders right now are coming through the front stretch. So that's kind of the situation as far as timing goes. So enough time for these drivers to still get back up to speed. The leader of your race right now, Michael McKinnon, is just exiting turn 2 as you see this long straight line here. I think this is going to indicate But you're going to see a lot of these drivers peel the pit road next time by. We'll see what happens here as they come out of turns 3 and 4. As they come off of turn 4 here, we'll see, look at that, a max exodus towards pit road. I think pretty much every other driver out here on the racetrack right now has decided to come to pit road. So definitely going to be feeding time, fuel stops for all these drivers. It's very important here. You got to see your box. You got to get to it. You got to get down, slow down, make sure you stop right on your marks. This is the money stop here. You drive through your box just a little tiny bit. That could be the mistake that costs you the race here. You see that Cinnamon is the first into his box. I wonder if that means he'll be the first out. You see Newbert there a little bit in front of him, and cars starting to take off now. Cinnamon able to just barely get there, but he's going to be second here as he comes off of pit road. Dittmer, your net race leader as this shakes out now, will lead Cinnamon off. This LaBeouf there in third position. All playoff drivers back to Keith Bradley is going to be the next playoff driver as well. So going to your leaders right now, he's coming out of turn number 3 as we speak. I'm sorry, turn number 2 as we speak here. So this is going to be a very interesting merge. You see all these slow cars are getting back up to speed there right now. You see Peacock is able to pass on the outside with Thomas. They're still there. Dittmer and everybody is still there, but they're still getting up to speed. Peacock and Thomas Rivera, they'll continue to run away for a little bit here, but once these cars behind them, these trucks behind them get grouped up, I'm sure we'll see them getting reeled in a little bit here, though. But we're starting to get down the crunch time. Final pit stops have happened from virtual Talladega. You're in the home stretch here, 20 laps to go. This is where we're going to start to see the moves starting to happen. See here the tandem of Dittmer and Cinnamon that just came off of pit road, able to make a move here to the outside through turns number 3 and 4. They'll try to make it stick here coming down the long tri-oval. And now Rivera is going to go to the outside line here. Rivera is going to move up. That's going to help Dittmer and Peacock anymore. This is kind of giving you shades of restrictor plate racing circa 2007 with the tandem. I'm sorry, 2017 with the tandem drafting here. You don't see this too often in the trucks. You'll see Dittmer and Peacock will now move to that bottom lane. They'll kind of hang Rivera out to dry. It looks like all these playoff drivers, but now LaBeouf will go up and help Rivera there on the outside. Looks like all these playoff drivers trying to abandon the only non-playoff driver, make it Newbert now in the top 5. But it looks like for the time being, Rivera is able to settle in there on the nose of Brady LaBeouf. They'll try to push this outside line here. And now as far as they possibly can. I don't think it's going to work, though. A little bit of a wiggle there from Peacock as they come off a turn 4. They'll have a little bit of lap traffic here to deal with on the outside, but should not be a problem. It's going to be 20 laps to go when they cross the stripe here. So it's almost game time here at Talladega. You see Cinnamon there sitting in second position. He's won at a restrictor plate track. Peacock in the 81. He won at Daytona at the beginning of the year. So those are your drivers to watch out for. The 81 and the 3. Are they going to be the ones that are going to be making the moves all the way up to the front, I believe? And look who's right next to each other on the racetrack right now. Those two trucks. So we'll see what happens here for the virtual Talladega Speedway with 20 laps to go on Racecraft TV. The NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series Butt Kicker 200 is getting into its final stages. And this is really the battle for your win that's heating up right now. 18 laps to go this time by. These drivers still biding their time. Nobody's really made an aggressive move one way or the other yet. Dittmer, Simon, Rivera, LaBeouf, Peacock, your top 5. Hess, Thomas, Blanchard, Moda, and Newbert are your top 10. This lead group here is, I would say, roughly, I'd say 10 to 12 cars deep here. So I think if you look back there, looks like McKinnon, I believe, is your last driver on this pack, or possibly James Morris, one of the two. But 34 of Tyler Dittmer still hanging on to the slightest of margins here. Him and Cinnamon have really been working together to keep that bottom line viable, as well as Peacock as well, who's in the 3rd position in that bottom line. And again, we've seen this all night long. I think there's 2 issues right now with the top line. One, they can't get formed together tight enough as far as bumper to nose goes to really create an effective draft. And then 2, I believe they're leaving too much space between the 1st and 2nd line. Obviously, you want to leave a little bit of space for racing purposes, but you really need to get that side draft working if you're that top line. I don't think you're going to get it done by just riding around there in the 2nd lane. You're going to have to come down and really pinch the bottom lane here if you're going to make any momentum on them here. As you start to see, it's happening on the outside lane here, but once we get back into the corners again, advantage goes back to the bottom side. These drivers roar off at turn 4. It'll be 15 laps to go when they come to the stride. Tyler Dittmer, Jose Luis Rivera, the drivers leading your lines respectively right now, with Rivera on the outside and Dittmer on the inside currently. Dittmer and Rivera both leading their lines, but I will give the advantage right now, I would say, to Rivera at least. He's got his buddy Brady LaBeouf there right behind him, and then Kyle Hess has been a strong pusher as well. Blanchard in the 19, who's also on that outside line, has been up towards the front all night long, and you see there, that's what they need to do on the outside line. You see the run, how they start to get it off of the turn instead of far down the straightaway. That's able to let Rivera move to the front of that inside line and now take the position away from Dittmer. He'll take control of this race with 14 laps to go. A non-playoff driver in here mixing it up with these drivers that really want one of these wins to lock them into the next round of the playoffs, so they don't have to worry about it at Bristol. Talladega, we always say, is the roulette wheel of racing tracks here on the NASCAR circuit, just because of how large and how unpredictable it is. You could almost say the same things about Bristol. It's the most unpredictable short track I think we have on the circuit, as well as now that 2nd line is really kind of falling apart. It's almost completely disintegrated. I don't know if they're trying to settle back in line here for another attempt or what the strategy is here, but it seems like everybody's kind of given up on the top line all at once. Now that I say that, Cinnamon moves to the outside with Peacock. They'll try to tandem them way on the outside here around Jose Luis Rivera. A little bit of connection issues there for Peacock, and that's got to make things difficult there. I'm sorry, for Cinnamon, and that's got to make things difficult for Peacock. You can see him flashing in and out on your screen there. That's the same thing that Peacock sees. That makes it kind of rough to link up with a dance partner there if you can't see him half the time. And you see he now makes the move back down to the bottom. It doesn't completely leave Cinnamon out to dry, but definitely was not enjoying the netcode issues from Cinnamon there as well. With 13 laps to go here from Talladega, we're starting to get into crunch time here. We've said it multiple times before. You're not going to see these moves for the win until about 10 to maybe 15 laps to go. This is where you'll start to see possibly a 3rd line, maybe even sometimes a 4th line. But if you're one of these drivers that finds themselves at the tail end of this lead pack, you're going to have to do something to get yourself up towards the front. A little bit of jostling now on the backstretch. 3 wide for a little bit now here. LaBeouf, Peacock, and then Moda on the outside line now. 3 wide for about 7th position here. They'll kind of file in again, think better of it for the time being. Maybe 10 laps to go when they get to the stripe this time by. So now's where you're going to start to see those dramatic moves. You're going to see things start to happen here once we get 10 laps to go here from Barney the Flagman. He gives them the double high five from the flag stand here as they go by. 10 laps left to finish this here from the virtual Talladega in the Butt Kicker 200. Our first race here in the round of 8. So this and Bristol next week are going to be the only 2 races we have remaining until our championship round, December 16th. At Las Vegas. So the time is running out for any of those drivers you see in gold on the left side there on your Racecraft TV timing tower to lock themselves into the championship. Remember, we're only taking 4 drivers from this round, and then 4 are going home. So right now, Peacock finds himself in the catbird seat. He is leading this race with 10 laps to go. Going to be 9 laps to go when they cross the stripe, but still a lot of playoff drivers behind him here. And now Cinnamon will make the move, and he's going to make it 3 wide here as they come back to the stripe. It's going to be just barely Rivera that time as well, but now LaBeouf is kind of hung out the high. I'm sorry, Peacock's kind of hung out to dry there on the high side. He's going to have to fall back, move back into the second line here and give it another shot. But 9 laps to go is where you'll start to see those moves. And really, you just got to hope that somebody goes with you when you do make that move. If not, you see what happens. You're hung out to dry. You fall yourself all the way back to this small pack right here, which isn't the end of the world, but you just really got to make that move when the time is right. Ooh, a little bit of contact there for about 10th position. Peacock and Hess there touched just a little bit. Nothing happening between those 2 drivers, but they did touch for just a second. That could have been hairy, and that really could have shook up the rest of this race. Now, as you see Peacock here in the sucker hole, Moda really pushing him down low, trying to get all the side draft he possibly can here, trying to run down the backstretch. You start to see 3 lines now. This is where we're talking about. This is where we see things happening towards the end of this race. Who will try to make these moves? Who will try to be aggressive to get up to the front? And so far, you've seen people kind of tease the 3 line, but they've not really committed to it yet so far. As again, you see Moda there trying to move up and have anybody go with them, but nobody really wants to do that now with 8 laps to go. Maybe 7 laps to go when they come to the stripe this time. See 1 car there peeling off in the background, heading to pit road. Not entirely sure who that is. That might have been Ted Wade, and it is Ted Wade who went to pit road that time by. So Rivera still leading your bottom line with Dittmer here trailing him with 7 laps to go. And you got to imagine one of these playoff drivers has to try to make a move at some point to steal the win away from Rivera. It'd be a feel-good story for Jose Luis Rivera to come in and get this win in the 20 machine. He's had so many heartbreaking moments here in the season already with incidents, and really here at Talladega and Daytona, he's been one of the trucks to beat all season long. Finally finds himself here up front in the lead of a race with only 6 laps to go when he comes to the stripe this time by. So if you're Rivera, it's hold on. But if you're one of these payoff drivers, 2nd through 6, you got to make your move. You got to try to win this race. So you don't have to worry about Bristol next week. You just go out there and race and prepare for Vegas. Five laps to go here at virtual Talladega, and you saw 4 wide there for just a second coming through the tri-oval. Oh, one driver a little bit loose there. Moda able to save it. A couple of drivers down to the bottom. Doesn't look like the caution flag is going to come out yet. Now the caution flag will wave, and that is going to change everything about this race right now. It looks like that's Taylor Peacock who was involved. We'll see here. That is Taylor Peacock involved, so that is one of your playoff drivers. It looks like Lumpkin in the 87 was also involved in this incident as well, and that kind of got triggered there by 3 drivers trying to go 3 wide down into the tri-oval section. Into turn 1, you saw they all kind of ran out of room. We'll see who made it through that. Cinnamon is still up front, so is Dittmer and LaBeouf. It looks like Hess is having issues as well. He'll tow it back to pit road. You see the 7 of Mata get sideways there. Blanchard goes down to the bottom, gets Peacock, collects him, then turns him right up in front of Hess. You see the violent impact there for the 81 up and over there. That will be night done for sure. And at this point, you start to consider maybe possibly season done for Taylor Peacock as far as the championship hopes go. We're just getting down to crunch point here in the season and really nowhere to go for him. That wasn't his fault, trying to get back on the track here, and unfortunately Blanchard was still there, and that's going to end the 81's night early for sure. Get the onboard here from Kyle Hess so we can see just the driver's perspective here. Oh yeah, the 81 just comes across so fast, and at that point you're committed to the high line. Where else do you go there if you're Kyle Hess? So unfortunate for him, nowhere to go. I think he decided to end his race early as well. Peacock has left, Hess has left, Richards and Pater have DNF'd from this race. Kilgore's still on pit road trying to get some repairs done, but finds himself 37 laps down in the 25th position now. So I don't think he's, well, let's see here. If he stays out, he'll gain 1 spot over Robert Richards. So he'll go from 25th to 24th if he can finish the race right now, but still in pit lane. So I don't think that's going to happen for Derek Kilgore. Jose Luis Rivera, the leader of this race. Chris Cinnamon is going to join him on the outside line. When we go back to green flag racing, I don't believe this is going to be an attempt at overtime. Well, actually, maybe it will, because the lights are still on the pace car here. We'll get maybe a confirmation from race control and see if you're going to go to a green-white checkered here. As you can see, the one driver getting a lucky dog here. So I think if we went back to green flag racing, it would have to be with 2 laps to go. So that wouldn't make sense. So I do believe this is going to be the first of our overtime sessions here, and we do have a total of 2 that we can attempt here from Talladega this evening. And We mentioned earlier that if a caution came out, it would change the entire complexion of this race. There are still 20 cars on the lead lap. So theoretically here at Talladega, anything can happen. We've seen drivers win from 16th, 17th position when the whole field it gets into it here in front of them. Now, I don't believe that's what we'll see out of these drivers. While they're still battling for all these points here and everything they possibly can, a lot of these drivers at the top 5 are still in the playoffs. So I don't think they're going to make a move to end their whole season just for the race win here if they know they can still guarantee themselves a good finish. So potentially maybe even a little bit less risky of a Talladega that you normally see. But at the same time, on the opposite side of that coin, any one of these playoff drivers wins here today at Talladega, they don't have to worry about it anymore when they go to Bristol next week and set their sights in Vegas, and that really is just a weight off your shoulders. We saw in the NASCAR Cup Series, Joey Logano was able to take a few weeks off before Phoenix, knowing he was locked into the championship, allowing his team and himself to just mentally prepare for that championship race, and just dominated from the drop of the green flag. So not having to worry about making your way in through points, because 2 drivers do have to make it off points. If 2 of our playoff drivers win, 2 drivers still have to make it off points. So not having to worry about those points going into the final race is a luxury that one of these drivers in the field that is still in the playoffs really wants to have. Lights are off on the pace car here. This will be our first attempt at a green-white checker finish. So we'll go back to green flag racing, this time by Jose Luis Rivera, winless so far this season. Will lead the field back to the green flag, but our winner from our season opening race, Chris Cinnamon right there, a multi-time race winner. Tyler Dittmer in the 34 right there as well. Previous champion in this league, Brady the Buff. You see him in the 9 there on the outside of row number 2. He's in this. Stephen Thomas, he's in this. James D. Morris, he's in this. Dana Shepard, you get the point. They're all in this still if they're on the lead lap. And you can see our 20-car field here as it comes around turn number 2. All these drivers have to realistically think they still have a chance to win this race. Take a look again there at your standings and your scoring as it sits right now. All the drivers in yellow, of course, your playoff drivers. Wade out of this race so far. Well, not out of this race, but 1 lap down, finds himself in the 21st position. Bradley in 17th, Lumpkin 10th, Thomas 5th, LaBeouf 4th, Dittmer 3rd, and Cinnamon 2nd. 2 playoff drivers that are behind the wall right now are Taylor Peacock and Taylor Peacock, and then Ted Wade finds himself 1 lap down. So that's the rest of your drivers that are in the playoffs right now. Green-white checkered finish here from Talladega to settle things. At least 2. This is the first of them. We'll see what happens here when we go back to green flag racing. Pace truck will roll to the safety of pit road here, and now this will allow Jose Luis Rivera to decide when he is going to launch here on this restart, which would normally be an advantage at a lot of tracks, but I don't think Talladega is one of the tracks where you want to have too much of a gap here between you and the rest of the field. We've seen what has happened to these drivers, especially on the last lap when they don't have that lead. We're back to green flag racing here. A huge shove from Dittmer to the back bumper of Rivera there is gonna give him a little bit of a wiggle there. Loses the position. The Cinnamon on the outside here. Gonna be 2 laps to go when they come back to the stripe. Remember, green white checker rules. We wave the green flag. If these drivers get the white flag, this race is official and will finish under the checkered flag, green flag conditions. However, if the caution comes out before they get back to the stripe here, we'll go again and re-rack one more time for a green-white checkered finish. Right now, Rivera able to get a huge push from Dittmer down on the bottom side there. Rebuff and Peacock, Cinnamon trying to work on that outside line right now, but just not able to get enough trucks in going there. And we've seen that all night long. Rivera able to still hold the lead coming off of turn 4. White flag is in the air for Jose Luis Rivera. 2.66 miles sit between him and victory lane for the first time here in 2022 in the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series. He's got a mirror full of Tyler Dittmer in the 34 there in second, and now a run to the outside as well from a few other trucks. Oh, we're wrecking in the background here. That's not going to matter. We're still going to finish under green flag conditions here. That race to the final flag here is still underway. No yellow flag out on the racetrack. This is still the green flag race to the start finish line. Jose Luis Rivera has the slightest edge over Dittmer here, and he's going to move up to block. There's a run here from Steven Thomas in the 23 on the outside. He has the help from Cinnamon, and they're going to come together here, come into the flag. There's a huge wreck behind our leaders. It looks like Jose Luis Rivera is going to win at Talladega. Jose Luis Rivera gets his first win on the season, the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series, and he does it here at Talladega and steals away a guaranteed win from a playoff driver. And that race is going to have some implications as well, too. You saw how many drivers had the incident coming across the checkered flag there. That's going to have point implications as we go back. We'll have your full results here in a second, but that is an impressive drive there from Jose Luis Rivera, able to take the lead with I would say roughly about 15 laps to go, and then just kind of held on to it. We had that late caution, able to work his way back up to the front again. Now finds himself in victory lane. He's your NASRA 360. I'm sorry, this is your butt kicker victory moment here for Jose Luis Rivera. He'll come back to the start finish line and see here what kind of celebration we'll see out of the 20 machine. Goes wide onto the apron here, and it's just going to be your classic standard burnout. I can respect that. Your butt kicker victory lane moment here for Jose Luis Rivera. We'll take a quick look at your standings here when we get them, and then we'll take a quick break, and on the other side of that break, we'll come back with some podium interviews for you here. But Jose Luis Rivera steals the way a win from your playoff drivers at Talladega. Tyler Dittmer, your first playoff driver, he'll finish second. Steven Thomas, also playoff driver, he'll finish third. Raul Meza, fourth. Cody Knott, fifth. Brady LaBeouf, a playoff driver, sixth. Dane Hagen, seventh. James D. Morris, eighth. Michael McKinnon, ninth. And Keith Bradley will round out your top 10 after the incidents he had early. Chris Cinnamon finds himself all the way in 11th position after the early incident there. I'm sorry, after the late incident coming to the start finish line. Dana Shepard, 12th. Christopher Blanchard, 13th. Jeffrey Sickles, 14th. Brandon Bullock, 15th. Justin Lumpkin, 16th. 17th is Clint Mota after the late wreck. Zachary Hartwick, Huck Wigington, and then Adam Newbert will round out your 20 here. Adam Newbert, one lap down. Ted Wade also finds himself one lap down. Taylor Peacock, Kyle Hess, Robert Richards, Derek Kilgore, Devin Painter, and then Stephen Gregory will wrap up the rest of your field here from the virtual Talladega this evening. So we'll take just a quick 30-second gap here on Racecraft TV, and then we'll come back here back for our podium interviews from the virtual Talladega Speedway.
This is your chance to get behind the wheel. The opportunity to race just like the pros. From the grassroots levels, where we all got our start, to the most popular race cars on the planet. From the fairgrounds of Nashville to the high banks of Daytona, to tracks that will never be forgotten. Realistic driving, intense competition, all from the comfort of your own home. This is the ultimate motorsports simulation. This is iRacing. This is the world's premier online racing simulation.
Yeah. And we're back here for our podium interviews from the Butt Kicker 200. And first on our interviews tonight is going to be your winner here from Victory Lane. We're talking to Jose Luis Rivera. And Jose, congratulations on your win here tonight from the virtual Talladega Super Speedway. I got to ask, you take the white flag and you're in the lead. What are you thinking at that point? Do you think you've got the race in hand, or are you sweating bullets knowing you're the leader with the white flag?
I was shaking the entire last two laps coming to the white. I was nervous. My my foot was shaking on the gas pedal, and I thought that was gonna end my day.
I always hate. I can relate to that, Jose. I get the Jello knee from time to time when I'm leading late in races that I actually do care about. So I can relate. It's fully well to the jelly knee, and that's awesome. I'm glad I'm hearing that emotion out of you. It's got to be really great to get your first win on the season, and not only that, you stole the win away from those playoff drivers who were using it to lock themselves into the championship. How does that feel to finally break through and get the 20 machine to victory lane?
Oh, I've been here since season 3. I've been trying to get that win. I've seen multiple races slip away from me. I thought might be another one, but I was coming to the white flag, and I figured maybe it can happen, and it happened. We made it work.
Well, finally got the monkey off your back there. So congratulations for that. We got Bristol coming up. We got Vegas coming up. Do we see the 20 in victory lane one more time before the end of the year?
I don't know about Bristol, but I don't know about Bristol, but keep an eye out for Vegas. I've had a lot of success there. So has my teammate, the guy that pushed me to the win, Tyler Dittmer. So I got to thank him for that. But we both have a lot of success at Vegas. So check out for Vegas.
Well, watch out. We heard it here first. Watch out for the 20 machine there at Vegas. Congratulations on your win from all of us here at Racecraft TV. Jose, anybody you want to shout out? Who helps you get to victory lane?
Oh, I want to thank Tyler Dittmer for the amazing push that he gave me throughout the entire race. I want to thank my team at Dep iRacing Paints, the Dep Team Racing. I want to thank Jacob, who wasn't here today. He's a good friend. Dana. I want to thank NASRA, Racecraft, and Race Labs.
Well, that was your winner here tonight from the virtual Talladega Super Speedway, Jose Luis Rivera. He's going to go celebrate with his team, and we're going to talk to the second place finisher here of Tyler Dittmer. And Tyler, talk to me a little bit here. We're talking to Jose. He had nothing but good things to say about you. Said you pushed him to that win, but you're looking for a championship here, and you had every right to take that win away from him. What was it looking like for you coming to the final checkered flag there?
I wasn't going to leave him. There was no point in it. I jumped to the outside. I can get wrecked by someone else and finish 20th. Other playoff contenders had some rough nights and led the most laps still on the night. Get the bonus point for that. Led a lap, bonus point for that. Good stage 2 finish. I didn't need to win that race. And I'm not going to leave a teammate to dry like that. That's not who I am as a driver.
And that's fair enough. I can respect that as well. I understand the win would lock you into the next round, but very good points that you bring up there. Why make more unnecessary risks than you had to? So next week you go to Bristol. You're still looking for that win to lock you into the playoffs. You did finish second, so you're the best playoff finishing driver here tonight. I'll give you that little fact at least, which I'm sure you already knew. But going into Bristol, do you think you can get it done there, getting into the victory lane, or are you just looking for another solid points day?
Everyone wants to win to lock themselves in, but we'll have to see where everyone's at time-wise and how they can do long run versus short run, and we'll just see what the car we got. But like I said, you don't want to sour relationships with people around you, especially teammates. And I'm glad Jose got that win tonight. It's huge. Our team has 4 wins on the year, so it's the best NCRC's ever done here in NASRA, especially in Triple M Point Truck Series. So things are looking up.
Things are definitely looking up, and a lot of momentum going into next week at Bristol for you, Tyler. Anybody you want to shout out here that help you get the racing action done?
Yeah, I'd like to thank North Central Racing Club teammate. Congrats to Jose again on the win. Dana Shepard, who's behind me there, coming through trouble before he had taken out the end. All 3 of us worked together amazingly all night. Allowed us to pretty much control stage 2 for the most part. I'd like to thank Jacob Finkart for bringing me on the team. I'd like to thank Blizzardworks Racing, Luke's Hobbies, Dep Graphics, Hoop Ties Garage, Triple M Point Truck Series, you guys here at Racecraft, NASRA 360. So just everyone who makes this happen, and glad to have a good finish.
Well, Hoop Ties Garage. I've been pronouncing that wrong, so I appreciate you saying that out loud so I could hear it, Tyler. And congratulations on behalf of all of us here at Racecraft TV on your second place finish. Go and enjoy it with the team, all right?
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. And that was Tyler Dittmer, your second place finisher here. We have one more interview for you here tonight, and that's going to be the 23 here of Steven Thomas. And Steven kind of up around that top 5 area all day long, coming to the checker flag, chaos unfolding all around you. What did it look like from your perspective?
I'm sorry, buddy. I was not listening. What was the question? So
how was that final lap for you? No, you're probably still getting all your thoughts together from it. I get it. So
yes, I was actually reading the message from a fellow racer here while you were talking. Man, the last lap was like the whole race, man. Well, I shouldn't say the whole race. The last lap was like at the end of each stage. Very chaotic, man, and it was really fun. Awesome fun. I really wish Chris Cinnamon would have just linked up with me right there, and I really feel like me and him could have finished first and second for sure, and him probably even past me if he just would have linked up. But unfortunately, I had to throw a big block to stop him from leaving me out to dry, and it got me a third out of it, I guess. So I'll take it. I'm just glad to be back in the broadcast with you guys finally.
Yeah, well, third place is pretty solid, and I will let you know as well. I'm not saying this makes you feel any better. Chris Cinnamon actually wrecked coming across the line. A bunch of playoff drivers did. He ends up finishing 11th. You actually had the second best finish of playoff drivers in third place, right after Tyler Dittmer, who finished second. What does that do for your confidence levels going into Bristol and just the rest of the season?
Man, it obviously heightens it a lot. Last time we raced at Bristol, Taylor, Keith, Bradley, and myself just basically took off from the field. I'm pretty sure we were the only 3 left on the lead lap. So that being said, hopefully it kind of goes the same way and I can finish well there, and that obviously punches my ticket into a championship 4. So yeah, going into Bristol, I'm just going to try to stay out of all the stuff, stay up front in the clean air, and try to finish well, man.
Definitely aspirations of a championship here for the 23 squad and Steven Thomas. And Steven, it's a time for shout out who helps you get it done and who leads you to have those aspirations.
Yeah, man. First, I want to thank NASRA and Brady for everything he does. Triple M Pulling and Michael McKinnon, Butt Kicker, NASRA 360, Pulse Poppers, and Starbase Comics. That's all the sponsors, that helps out with this league and makes it run so well. And then I'd like to thank Family Handyman. That's my company, and Powerhouse Racing, Straight Powerhouse, and all my teammates. Man, me and Chris and Taylor worked so well all night together, and unfortunately, Chris and Taylor, got a little tangled up there and took a lot of my help away for the last lap too. So I was kind of left on my own. But yeah, I want to thank those guys, and last, thank you guys for the broadcast, man. I really appreciate what you guys do.
Oh, we appreciate you coming and take some time to talk to us up here in the booth, Steven. So go enjoy that win with the team here. And I believe we want to take a look, actually, right before we go here on Racecraft TV. We're going to take a look at that wreck again, coming across the start-finish line here. This is coming to the white flag. This is after the white flag comes out. This is on the back stretch here. You see towards the back of the pack here, you got a big accident here. That's Lumpkin who's involved here, the 22, the 00 of Huck Wigington as well involved in that accident. So that was a lot of drivers that were involved in that one. You'll get another look at it here from another angle. We'll see what really started this all off. It seems like Lumpkin was the original driver that got turned, and then it kind of just developed from there. The 7 of Moda was involved as well. A big hit to the inside wall there. Of course, obviously, we don't feel the hits on iRacing, but still, that's going to really damage your truck and make it harder to drive. This is coming back to the start-finish line, and this is going to happen behind your leaders here. That involves the 3 of Cinnamon, and then, well, that is something. Newbert went backwards, which is sometimes you'll see that when cars catch the fence, but he went backwards quite a few positions, and that actually is going to drop him all the way back into the 20th position because he never crossed the line there as well. And then you just have the 45 of Dana Shepard flying through the air right now. Things are not good for him for sure. Definitely a little dizzy in that 45 machine there as well, but get another look here from the inside, and who was really the impetus of all this as well. And it was Dana Shepard, just gets pushed up wide there, and then you see the accordion effect from there. Cinnamon crosses the line in 11th. So big playoff implications actually here on the final lap at Talladega that sets us up for our race in 1 week at the Bristol Motor Speedway. We hope you'll come and join our coverage here on Racecraft TV. And on behalf of myself, Ian Fisher, Zachary Johnson, my producer in the production booth running all the camera angles and graphics you saw here tonight, for everybody behind the scenes at Racecraft TV, Joshua Lee, Trevor Teal, and of course, Josh Edmondson as well. My name again is Ian Fisher, and we'd like to thank you for tuning into this broadcast of the NASRA Triple M Pulling Truck Series Butt Kicker 200.